Howdy, folks. You are watching GameSpot, and this is our coverage of Summer Game Fest 2024. I'm Curtin Devine, and I'm joined here with Jean-Luc Seipke, someone who deeply loves Monster Hunter in all shapes and forms, the franchise as a whole. And you're able to watch 30 minutes of gameplay, like actual raw gameplay.
Yes, the director was playing the game. They were sitting there. It was just the game.
It was just
the game.
So since I guess I feel like Monster Hunter World was like a big turning point for the franchise. It kind of took it out of like the more archaic style that it had been in for years and years and years, and like pushed it into a more like intuitive, sort of controlly, worldly way.
Yes, and opened it up. Bigger maps, multiple monsters on the field at once. They interact with each other. Like that was the whole big thing with World.
So what is the defining part? Like what is like when of the time you saw like are we getting another like big push to like push it forward, or is it still retaining the DNA of World?
It's taking like that idea of like what if we like start to like make everything feel bigger, more integrated, take down the barriers of Monster Hunter, you know, like the way the towns and the menus and how everything always was like segmented and separated. And they're like, we're getting rid of all of that. So like the big map we saw, which was kind of like this I don't know, it was like part desert, part like lush fauna, and then there was like a storm. It was a whole thing. It is apparently like 2 to 3 times the size of like a standard world map. But the interesting thing is the town is in the map, so there's no loading screen. You like go from the town out into the world.
We've made
hunt a monster. We've made it. It's like
no loading screen.
No loading screen. No quest board. There's no quest board.
So why is that a big deal?
Because that was like the routine of Monster Hunter, right? It's like you go to the quest board, you click the quest, you go to like the food vendor and you get the food, and then there's the ritual.
And then you go and hunt the monster.
And the ritual's there, but it's like they're trying to like eliminate that barrier, so like you don't have to do that necessarily.
So how do you keep? What is the loop now in the process of like?
So you open up your map, which is like this giant 3D map. You pick a monster, and you say, I want to go hunt that monster. And then when you go and you start hitting that monster, it says, hey, you started a quest now. Just like, quest has started. And you're like, cool, I'm doing this now. And like, when you end the quest, like you carve up the monster, and then it's like, okay, cool, you're still here in the open world. Go on, keep doing more.
How did the combat like look? I mean, like, was there? I feel like World was like a big push. Like, there's so many cinematic, wacky things I've seen from that game. Is there anything like distinctive that you saw in the play style that seems at all different or evolved?
So the big thing is the mounts in this one, which was a thing in Rise, right? You had your like dogs, which I forget the name of them. This one you have like
monster dogs.
In this one you have these kind of bird-like creatures. I apologize, I forget the name of them.
Just bird creatures.
But the whole thing is like, you are going to be using them a lot more when like traversing and when like setting up the monsters. Monsters roam in herds now.
Okay.
They roam in herds.
And all sizes?
Of all sizes, of all different sizes. And apparently, when I was talking to some of the like creatives behind the game, they were saying like they even behave differently depending on whether like they're in a herd or whether they're alone. And so like in this case, we're like, all right, they were going to try and hunt an alpha of this like monster in this herd. And so they were actually, they attacked the monster and then specifically tried to draw it away from the rest of the herd so they could like solo fight it.
So it sounds like it's not just it sounds like the dynamics of like learning a monster, what it does, how it functions has changed because you now have to like consider a herd of other creatures, how they react when they're together, whether there's an alpha or not.
And there's a lot. You know, like again, it was like in World, it was like you'd have 3 big monsters and you had a couple of those like tiny little ones wandering around. This is like, there's just dozens of them, does that everywhere.
Does that get you pumped? Like, what does that mean for you as like someone who's like been in this loop, this like thing that you've done over and over?
It's the way everything interacts with each other, right? Yes. There's not this simple loop where you show up to where the monster is, you fight him for a bit, and then they're like, I'm gonna run away, and then it's like, it's just more dynamic. A big thing they were showing off is how you kind of like want to draw the monster to where you want it, and you can use that to your advantage. So they were like herding the monster, like aggro it, and then they herded it into this other monster that lives underground and lays this like sand trap and like catches the monster. So it's like you want to, the more you play and the more you like understand the ecosystem and like where the monsters live and how they behave, it's like, oh, I can take this monster and I can like draw it over to this monster to like help me fight them and take advantage of that, which is like crazy cool. And then it affects with like there's environmental effects, because in the middle of the hunt, suddenly this massive lightning storm happens. And the lightning storm happens because of this specific other monster that like shows up and kind of can like causes this lightning storm. And it completely changes the ecosystem. You have like lightning striking down. It changes what monsters show up. It changes like the fauna that's around. There's less like kind of like healing, and like plants will kind of like go away and disappear.
Okay.
Like lightning bugs show up. So it's like, oh, now I can suddenly like use these lightning bugs to my advantage because they weren't there before. And so like the game wants to give you way more systems that are just kind of naturally happening, and you as the player get to like interact with those systems and figure out like, okay, like how am I going to take advantage of the change in weather? How am I going to take advantage of the fact that there are these monsters over here? There's a herd over there, like, and that's something that Monster Hunter has like slowly been approaching. You know, it's like less rigid. And I think World was a big step. This feels like 3, 4, 5 times that step. Like
okay.
it really felt like a huge leap in Monster Hunter. Like they're taking advantage of like the current hardware, you know, that we have. It's like
Monster Hunter Wild.
Wilds, yes. Crazy impressive.
It sounds Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yes.
I do have an important question though.
Please do.
Tell me about them eating food.
Okay.
Them getting the food.
You visit a cheesemonger, because apparently there's lots of like milk and dairy in that specific region. So you're like, cheesemonger, please give me some cheese. And then there's this great little thing where you go to your camp and you like set up a cooking pot, and then they cut to this gorgeous like 3D render of this like steak with like fondue cheese on it. And then,
they're always known for putting a lot of work into their food.
So good. And then like your character's just like cutting it up and putting it, and every time they put it in their mouth, they were just like,
So it's
oh, this cheese. I just rubbed my mic like that. That was awkward, but cheese.
So it's not like FMV Dragon's Dogma, where
No.
whenever you cook, it shows a real steak.
No. I mean, although I love that too, but no, it was like proper like in-game model 3D render. It looked beautiful. There was no cat babushka making it for you, but you know, I mean, I'm sure she's in there somewhere.
So all that said, cheese, map, world, no quest board, herds, different biomes,
Yes.
different weather. What is the main sort of like Jean-Luc takeaway as a Monster Hunter fan? Like, what is the key part that is like just has you so damn excited?
I mean, it's just the fact that they are taking the core of Monster Hunter and saying like, how can we just use this technology to expand this world, to make it bigger, to make it seamless in a way that feels like truly like a next evolution of Monster Hunter, in a way that I'm just like, the possibilities of how I can do this, of what I can do, of what these fights will be like, feels like I'm thinking about it. Like I'm dead serious. Like this is like one of the most impressive things I have seen. I try not to like.
Is it your thing? It
is my thing
of Summer Game Fest.
Of Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
Easily my thing of Summer Games Fest, and I try not to like. No, game's not out. Reserve final judgment for the game. Don't want to get too overhyped on a preview, but like
It left an impression.
It left a really strong impression. So I think Monster Hunter fans are going to be extremely happy with this one.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. This is Jean-Luc Seipke, your Monster Hunter GameSpot fanatic, who's very excited about the new Monster Hunter. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out all of our other Summer Game Fest stuff. I'm Kurt. See ya.